I'm Jemma Wildermuth from Create on Your Campus. I'm really glad to see you here today. I've got a great idea of a project to make using twigs. So we're still working on natural materials, and twigs come right from a tree, so they're very natural. And we're looking for twigs that are sort of smaller or narrower, I should say, to work on this project. We're going to be making twig towers with these pieces of twig. So I have an example of one piece that I started with. I took a twig or a couple twigs and broke them into pieces to make 2 longer pieces and 1 shorter piece, but you can try to make 3 longer. Ideally, you want to have the ones that you're using as sides, these 2 pieces. Try to be about the same length, and I just use my fingers to break them. So I have a second one that I started, and ultimately these pieces can then get tied together so that they can make a tower and even grow from there. So it's kind of like building, and the way that they're fastened is just with some string. So this is a natural kind of a hemp string that I used here on this piece, and this one I'm just starting to put together with dental floss, which works great for this kind of a project. So I'll show you what we're doing. I tied it around once, and I tied it in a knot the way that you would tying a shoe. And then I kind of wrapped between each one the opposite direction a couple times. I'm going to see how easy I can do that with you watching here, but we'll give it a try. So I'm going to take another piece of stick that I want to use. I kind of have an eyeball of where I want to break it. So I use my finger to break it into that smaller piece. And now I'm going to want to fasten it on one side first. So I have a piece of dental floss that I've already cut, and I'm going to try with my one hand to tie it around the 2 twigs when they're kind of crisscrossing each other. This might be a little tricky to do, but I will try. And I'm just going to pull it, pull it, pull it. So my fingers are still here, but I wanted to pull so that they stay across each other. So I want to get it kind of tightly pulled, as I did. And then, so they would be next to each other, but if I crisscross them, then I can wrap one end of my dental floss crisscross, kind of across one end of my stick, and then I can also do the same thing with the opposite piece of the string, going the opposite crisscross. And then we can tie it in a knot. That makes it a little more secure. So it's kind of fun that we're using this as very old-fashioned technique that they used frontier days and long before that to put things together. Of course, they weren't using dental floss. They were probably using other kinds of homemade rope that they had made out of like dried grass and other things in nature. So they really used things from nature back in the old days. So we got that one tied on. Now we'll try to do this one, and I can trim all those threads later. So we'll tie this one on here. Same idea. We're going to go around it once. I'll put it down to tie it just quickly so you're not having to watch that process. Definitely easier when you have it on a table. Crisscross like you're tying your shoe, and then you're placing your 2 sticks crisscross each other the where you want them to be. So I got that tied around, and then I'm going to go crisscrossing around these two sides here, and then this side I'm going to go kind of around in an opposite way, so you can see that it unwinds itself, that it's going to go around, and then I can tie it now that it's fastened together. And if you create this base triangle structure, then you can go and create, you know, a couple of them. You can do square structures too. Then you can fasten them to each other so that they then become more of the tower. So from here, I won't do it now because I think you have the idea, but here I can attach these two at the top the same way I attached the individual ones at the bottom. I could add another stick in between them, or I can leave them separate this way. You can do the same thing, like I said, by making them into a square shape or a rectangle shape. So it's really fun to gather the sticks and put them together, and if you're tying them together, you can fasten and make lots of different separate pieces. And you can even keep them separate and just sort of lean them as building materials. I hope you like this idea. Get outside, find some sticks and twigs, and have a great time. Make sure you get your dental floss, and we'll see you next time when we move into a new genre of materials. Have a great day.